That 14-0 run Denver had to end the first half, was that maybe a loss of focus for your guys? So what led to that?
Well, first of all, Denver's the defending champs, so they're really good. I thought we had 2 or 3 offensive possessions where we didn't get organized and we got stagnant, and that hurt our flow. We were in a good rhythm until then, and then the pace slowed down. So we needed to get better organized offensively. And then, they hit some tough shots. Murray hit some tough fadeaway shots. I had a couple of and ones. I think we fouled Gordon twice on layups, and those are tough. I'd rather just let the guy have the layup so we can keep the game going. But when we foul, they can set up their defense, and now we're playing in the half court. So that was definitely the key stretch of the game. And then the first 5 minutes of the third, I didn't like our energy. I didn't feel like we responded well enough, and Denver kind of controlled the game from there.
Steph went, I think, something like 6 and 19. You mentioned earlier this week you thought maybe some fatigue was setting in. Are you seeing that with his shooting lines?
Yeah. I think Steph has looked tired to me the last couple games, and it makes sense, doing the All-Star game stuff, not getting much of a break, 3 games in 4 nights, the whole deal. So he looks a little tired. But this is all part of the season. These stretches happen, and he'll bounce back.
You have a pretty condensed schedule, really, the rest of the season. But this week, do you look to maybe try to get him a break, or you just can you at this point with this where you are?
Yeah, I'll talk to Rick about that. We'll just take it game by game and see how he's doing. But like I said, this is all part of the season. Every player goes through it, just feeling a little fatigued, a little heavy-legged, and then, he'll get it back. And if we have to give him a game to help him do that, then we'll do that.
First half, Klay scores 23 points, and he goes scoreless for the rest of the night. What did you see in the difference first half versus second half there?
It just felt like pace to me. First half, the pace was in our favor until those last few minutes. And so he was getting free, and we had a lot of good pin downs for him. And then in transition, he got a couple buckets. So, Klay was great. And then the second half, I thought Denver's defense was really, really good. And, they got to the line quite a bit, which, as I said, kind of slowed us down.
Brandon had a bit of an off night, and he was showing some frustration, probably more than we've seen from him so far this season. What do you tell him in these moments when he's experiencing these kind of first bouts of things not quite working out for him of his career?
Yeah, he's had such a good season, and wasn't his best night, but it wasn't anybody's best night, They really took it to us. Obviously, Jokic was amazing. He just completely dominated that game and put us on our heels over and over again. And so, again, they're the champs for a reason. They took control of that game late second, and it was a tough night for everybody, and we'll bounce back.
Even outside of Jokic collectively, with their size, what kind of challenge did that present tonight? Yeah,
it's a lot to ask of Draymond to guard him, the entire time out there. And he's just, such a dominant force in every way. He's so smart defensively, had 4 steals, anticipated a couple of passes that he stole. The pass at the end to Gordon for the dunk, I think with 2 minutes left I was kind of right behind him. He didn't even, I don't even think he saw him. He just knew he would be there. And so Jokic controlled the game, 16 assists. I'm willing to bet they don't lose much, if at all, when he gets 16 assists, because that means everybody else is going to.
You played Trace and Draymond together, maybe the first time in a long time. Was that because of Jokic? What was the thinking there? Yeah,
with Jokic and Gordon, they're a really physical front line. And last game, when they came in here and caught us at the end, it was their physicality, especially Gordon, that really made the difference. And so we wanted to give that a look there for a few minutes. And it could have gone with Dario, but we went with Trace. He was on a nice run, and we just figured let's give the 2 big lineup a try. And we didn't get much out of it, so we made the sub after that.
Hey, Coach, in the back. Earlier this week, you said that every coach kind of wishes they had a 5-man unit that they could rely on and go to. Was tonight an example of, particularly playing against a team like the Nuggets who have a 5 who they are very set with? Was tonight an example of a time when that kind of hurts you?
Well, it just means that there are decisions to make every night, whereas, if you have a 5 you're going to get to, then you just kind of follow your rotation pattern that you put together before the game. So the way our team is constructed and the way our guys are playing, it's going to be different combinations depending on who's playing well. So it does make it a little trickier, but I like having the options too. We've got a lot of talented players.
Steve, the 4 top teams in the West have kind of done a pretty good job of separating themselves from everybody else: Denver, Minnesota, OKC, and the Clippers. But as you approach the end of the season, what do you need to do to close the gap? You're probably not going to catch them, but what do you do to close the gap with those top 4 teams?
Well, I think we have been doing that. It's two-way basketball. It's good defense and solid offense. And the last few weeks, we've been doing both. We've been playing well at both ends, but tonight just wasn't our night. Shots weren't going. We didn't get into much of a rhythm, but I'm confident that we can get back on track because we've been playing really well lately.
It seems like Joker and Aaron Gordon, they started playing the pass pretty well, especially when Draymond had the ball. Would you like to see a little more aggression out of him when it comes to just taking a shot instead of forcing that pass? Yeah,
I mean, it's tricky when you've got that kind of size and physicality with those two guys. And I trust Draymond. I mean, he's one of the best players out of the pocket that I've ever seen, just making plays for others or finishing at the rim. And he probably had a couple of them that he'd like to have back that, maybe he would have preferred to try to score, go to the rim. But they played great defense, and they deserve the credit for that.
Steve, as you guys head out on the road, you guys have been pretty good on the road, especially recently. What does that say to you about your team, and how important, how much hope, I guess, does that give you going forward? Because you have a kind of a road-heavy schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, we're very confident that we can go out on the road and win games, and we've been doing it lately. So, like I said, I think this is a game we have to move past quickly. Denver played great. They dominated that game from the last few minutes of the second quarter on. It wasn't our best night, so we'll get back on the horse, in Washington in a couple of days, and we're excited to play again.
Moses Moody, played a lot against Charlotte, not so much tonight. What about this matchup might be a little bit more difficult for him?
About the matchup with Denver?
Denver, or the decision not to play him as much tonight?
Yeah, I mean, there's only so many guys I can play. I already had 11 guys in the rotation, which is almost impossible. 12 is impossible. So he's out of the loop right now, but it doesn't mean that's the case for the rest of the season. So we've got a lot of guys who are healthy, and we're getting Chris back, on this trip at some point. So everybody's just got to stay ready. But there's not enough minutes for everybody.
When you mentioned Chris, is that a possible way to ease some of the burden off of Steph? Bring the ball up, initiate the offense, play him with Steph.
For sure.
Is that like one of the key things you could bring?
For sure. Those guys, obviously Chris will play, when he comes back, he'll play all of the non-Steph minutes, and then he'll be out there with Steph as well. And it's easier for us to put Steph off the ball and take some of the wear and tear off of him, when Chris is out there, because he doesn't have to bring it up and battle pressure and all that.
Over here, Coach, on your left. In this matchup, obviously the personnel has changed a little over the years, but you used to have a lot of success with pick and roll with Steph, bring Jokic further out on the floor. We get a lot of easy buckets off that. It seems like this year, having lost the season series 4-0, that hasn't been as effective. You any theories on why that is, why that's changed?
Well, they've done a really good job of putting their roster together. They've got bigger and stronger guards in the backcourt than they did a couple of years ago. So Pope is really a good defender, plays with a lot of physicality. They obviously bring Watson and Brown off the bench, and so they got more size, I think, across the backcourt, and that's been helpful for them. Thanks.
Cool. Thanks.